56 Happy Hour with Johnny Radio.
If you like pina colada.
On AM 560, 96.1 FM, and 87.7 FM. This hour of Sports 56 Happy Hour is brought to you by MemphisFarmers.com. Insurance coverage backed by a local agent and a brand trusted nationwide. We are farmers. MemphisFarmers.com.
Check it out right here.
Ladies and gentlemen, and now,
The only man to give death a near Johnny experience. Johnny Harden.
Welcome in. Sports 56 Happy Hour. Gabe Kuhn and Drew Barrett filling in today for the great Johnny Radio. Johnny Radio will hopefully be back tomorrow. That is the plan, but we will keep you updated as soon as we get any updates. Carl Morris is producing the program. We're here in the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. They have a bunch of sales going on, swim spas. They have hundreds of different spas from multiple manufacturers, special financing available. Make sure you check out Family Leisure. This is the Wednesday, September 16th edition of the program.
Glad you got the day right today.
And as always, yeah, me too. And as always, you can join us at the First Bank text line, 67129. First Bank phone line, 901-360-8255. That's how you join the show. And then watch us live and message us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Instagram. We have a pretty loaded show today. A lot going on in the world of college football. The Big Ten has decided to play football again. We haven't gotten the official announcement from the Big Ten, but it is on the way. Shelby County Schools has made a very, very, very tough decision. And we're going to definitely talk about that and open the First Bank phone line to you out there when we do. But here at about 1:10, we're going to get to the leadoff. 1:30, we're bringing on Russell Copeland, as we usually do on this show on Wednesdays. Russell actually just got the job as the commentator for the Memphis Tigers radio network for the away games this year, so we'll talk to him about that, and then we really want to dive into some NFL with him at 1:30, and then 2:30. We are probably going to get into a little bit of hardwood, but like I said, Gabe Kuhn, Drew Barrett. Drew, what's up, man?
Oh, not much. Just glad to be back here with you the second day in a row. Hopefully everything turns out okay for Johnny. He'll be back in the driver's seat tomorrow, but I was actually pretty shocked by the Big Ten news that happened. I know we're going to talk about it here in a little bit, but when last night came and went and there was an announcement, I kind of was riding my high horse a little bit, basically, because yesterday I said it's not going to happen. They're not going to come out with a report. They keep dangling this carrot out there in front of everybody to try to see if they'll bite it and then pull it away as you go to grab it, and still, like you said, still haven't technically gotten the official announcement from Kevin Warren and the Big Ten, but by all reports saying that it is back, I think it's not the greatest plan, but
No,
we'll see how it turns out,
and we'll discuss it here in the leadoff in a second. It's wildly interesting to see what they have decided to do, their supposed reasons for doing so. But from the beginning, it's been a complete soap opera. It's been a complete reality show, and it's just they need to go ahead and figure it out. If the season can go on without a hitch, they're
going to have to bat 1,000. They'll have to bat 1,000,
right? And which is very unlikely because the plan they have is supposedly to play 8 games in 8 weeks, and we just know that that's not something that given the current climate, is going to be very easy to get done.
It's not. And the craziest thing for me today, and I had a feeling it was going to happen just due to the fact of how many people were saying that they're on the front lines trying to get the Big Ten back. I mean, goodness gracious, 1,000 people are taking credit for this.
Right.
And some of the tweets and stuff
the president did.
Yeah, I don't know what really he had to do with it other than what Kevin Warren did say is that he did have a phone call with the guy. I mean, unless, the president decided that he was going to basically give the Big Ten and those universities every little thing that they needed in financial support to buy these tests. I don't know what exactly he or his administration had to do with this decision, but some of the stuff, I mean, some of these, I saw a tweet earlier, and I showed you.
Oh gosh,
it's basically
it's the guy I mentioned yesterday.
Yeah,
what's his dang name?
Brooks something, right?
I'll go look while you.
Okay, basically saying how he's been fighting for the Big Ten to return for 187 days, and compared his quote unquote success of bringing the Big Ten back to the assassination of Osama bin Laden and what the Obama administration did during all that, and also compared it to D-Day and said, this is a lesson for all of you out there. Never quit fighting. You never know when your day is going to finally come and what you stand up for and believe in is going to come true. I mean, how stupid do you have to be to compare the returning of a football season for one conference to D-Day?
And also,
I mean, just stupidity out the frame.
On the complete opposite side of that, you had Christine Brennan, who came out and said, note the date 9/16/20, the day the vaunted Big Ten became the SEC. It choked. It got scared. It sold its soul for football. My column on the darkest day in Big Ten history. So you remember Jerry Sandusky and
Nancer?
Yeah, or Larry Nasser or any of those,
my bad.
those member institutions where you literally, literally had a child molester, 2 of them.
Yes.
Those were some of the. What are you talking about? This is the darkest day.
And those institutions tried to cover it up.
It's and not to mention, just again, yes, turning a blind eye to child molestation, and you say them coming back for football is the darkest day. That's
selling their soul, not trying to cover up child molestation. Again, that's not selling your soul.
Again, some of the takes on the opposite sides of this, it's just ridiculous. Again, it's been a very, very interesting couple of days for the Big Ten. A couple of weeks for the most part.
The shocking thing to me is that it's only been a little over a month. It feels like it's been this thing has been dragging out for years. Like we've been having the Big Ten discussion forever, and I was reading about it today, and I was like, "There's no way that date's right." They announced they were going to cancel football August 11th. You're telling me it's been a month and 5 days?
Yep.
It feels like they might as well have canceled back in March when all this started.
We'll talk about this a little later, but the Pac-12 now is starting to put a little bit of pressure on their conference to try to get something done. Larry Scott has spoken up a little bit. It doesn't look overly optimistic, but we will discuss that a little bit later. Before we get into the leadoff, I have to mention the all-rookie team came out yesterday, and Grizzlies
deserved.
Had 2 first-team selections. Brandon Clark, I don't think is any surprise. And, of course, absolutely zero surprise, a unanimous selection to the All-NBA rookie team, Ja Morant.
I'm glad he got all 100 votes this time.
Right. It's fantastic. Well, here's the thing. The unanimous thing, I don't know how much I really care about that because in the end of the day, they still get
it.
You get the award,
but
I guess
does look
unanimous
it looks
selection,
stupid for the one person that did vote Zion Williamson first in Rookie of the Year. But here's a weird thing. I mean, if Brandon Clark was that high up on a first team, how did he not receive, more votes? I mean, I know he finished 4th, but you'd think if he's a unanimous first team rookie, he would have received a little bit more votes. But like you said, he's in.
We spend too much time worrying about the votes on these things. If they're first team, they're first team. If they're second team, they're second team.
What do we fake care about more, ratings or the votes?
I would definitely say ratings, especially in the climate right now.
I think I'd say votes. I think we, especially when we don't know who's voting and who they voted for, I think that's what we fake care about more.
So rounding out the first team, I mentioned Brandon Clark, Ja Morant. You had the Warriors forward Eric Paschall, Heat guard Kendrick Nunn, and then of course the guy who only played 19 regular season games, I believe. I think that's the final tally. Zion Williamson made it on the first team All NBA rookie team. But honestly, without further ado, let's go ahead and get to the leadoff, Carl.
All right. So first question I have. We all know about the Big Ten's decision.
Oh,
right?
God,
Yeah.
we do.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, we do.
The 8 games in 8 weeks, Big Ten championship December 19th. How do you guys feel about that decision?
I'm going to go ahead and start.
All right, you can go first.
I think this is very, very dumb of the Big Ten to step back and step into playing a fall season. If you played a spring season, that is what it is. I think you sort of planned for that. But when you step back and you sort of put it on myocarditis, but then myocarditis isn't a thing now.
Apparently
and
not.
then you put it on testing, you get the rapid testing. I think that was sort of something you could have probably figured out from the beginning. It's only been a month since you postponed it. I think you look really, really bad. The communication has been horrible the whole time. And then not to mention the plan. The plan itself, Drew, I have issues with. 8 games in 8 weeks. It doesn't seem plausible to me. I believe the student population has to be under 5% positivity rate for you to play a game that week, too.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't make much sense, some of the things that they decided to do. They don't have a built-in bye week, like I mentioned. They have a 21-day suspension of play for players testing positive. 21 days. 3 full weeks for a player that tests positive. And again, the shutdown threshold is only a 5% positivity rate on the team. That is bound to happen. You already saw it at Rutgers. You already saw it at Wisconsin. So I think it's a good thing for those players to get back and play. But at the end of the day, it just seems like a plan that doesn't have success written all over it.
Here's what I think of when I saw the plan and I saw the 21-day thing that you just alluded to. We're not the everyday testing not starting today or anything. They're going to start testing every day September 30th. Here's what I think. The Big Ten is probably doing with this outlandish outline for an 8-game season to try to be ready for the college football playoff if we get there, and no bye weeks, have a hard date for a conference championship game. I don't think the Big Ten really thinks it's going to play. I think that they are banking on the fact that when the SEC starts and they start to miss games, because remember, they're not even starting for a month after the SEC.
Right.
The Big 12 has already started. The ACC has already started. Everybody else who's playing has already started. So it almost feels like this is more of a plan to say, all right, fine, we cave. We'll give you what you want, but we're going to give it to you in such an outlandish way, such a terrible plan going forward. We don't even think college football is going to make it to October 24th. So that's why we're going to start that day. And by that time, we won't even have to play, and we can still look right. Like, well, you told us we had to play, but we knew we were right all along in the beginning. That's why we canceled it August 11th, and then so much pressure from y'all, so we said, fine, we'll go along with it. We gave you something, and then college football, you couldn't even make it to us. That's what I feel like. It's just another, and I hate to keep using this example, it's just another carrot in the face of college football.
Now, we will see about all that. I'm not so sure I believe that same thing.
But, I mean, it's ridiculous, though.
I understand what you're trying to say, but
if you really wanted to play, play now. Move it up.
The real question now for me becomes, Bill Hancock's going to have to say something. You have Big Ten country, and obviously he's the executive director of the college football playoff. Mm-hmm. You have Ohio State, who's one of the favorites to be in the playoff. Had they had a season, now they're going to have a season. Mm-hmm. They're only going to have 8 games. How do you change around the qualifications to get into the playoff? These things need to be answered. I think they need to be answered fast.
Well, real quick, and I know we got more questions to get to, but he needs to explain, like, do they have to play a max number of games? I mean, how many of those 8 do they realistically have to get in? Is it 6? Is it 4? Or is it if you play 1, you're qualified? Like, we need to know these answers if we're going forward. But the Big Ten's decision, I think it's stupid. Should have just stuck to their decision, take their lumps and bruises, get ready for 2021. But now it's just, like I said, another carrot in the face.
All right, switching to the NBA, fellas. The conference finals are set. I need picks.
Okay, you need picks.
All right.
So we got the Heat and the Celtics, and we got the Lakers and not the Clippers, but the Nuggets. So I'm going Lakers easy in my Western Conference Finals.
I don't know about easy.
And
If there's a word easier than easy, that's the word I would go for.
Right,
I don't know, guys.
I think the Lakers run through the Nuggets are coming off 2 7-game series where they had to come down from 3-1. You think that LeBron?
You
is
also
not
have to play
gonna come
every
out?
other night. You don't have that much time.
LeBron is
going
to come out and try to put his, foot on their neck early.
Mm-hmm.
I really do believe this, but I think the Nuggets might win a couple games, maybe. But
so then that's not easy. If they win a couple, that's not easy. I'm going for sweep.
You're going for sweep.
I'm going for sweep.
Okay, I think the Lakers handle business. Out of the East, though, we just saw last night the Heat handle business. We'll talk about that later. I'm going to go ahead, and I think that the Celtics are the better team on paper. I'm going Heat, though. The Heat are playing a ridiculous brand of basketball right now. They're hard-nosed. They're playing ridiculous defense, and they are being absolute killers. Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler, they're absolutely out of their minds right now. So I'm going to go ahead and go Heat and Lakers. I have the Lakers winning.
I'll start in the East. I'll stick to my guns, and what I said yesterday on Sports Time when we picked this series. I'm going to stick to my guns. I think it's going to be a long series. It's going to go the distance. It's going to go to Game 7, but I think the Celtics are just more talented, and while the Heat are playing some of the best basketball we've seen out of that franchise since the Big Three, I just don't think they've got enough to get over the hurdle of Brad Stevenson Celtics. So I'll take the Celtics in 7. And Denver, the more I see them, it's a roller coaster, man. I mean, the start of the Utah, I mean, they're way down.
2-3-1
they're way down. You're like, oh man, like this is going to be ugly. And then boom, 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 ride the roller coaster back up to the top, come back, winning Game 7, and then start off the next series the exact same way. Oh man, it's done. Put a fork in them. It's over.
I want to know where this is going.
And then they climb back up.
Okay.
So if the trend continues, it's probably going to get off to a slow start against the Lakers.
Okay. And do they overcome?
I don't think they ultimately overcome.
Okay.
I think Lakers probably win in 6 or 7, but it's going to be a series.
Okay.
They're going to win at least 2 games.
Okay.
My picks, I have to say, I'm going with the Heat. For one, I don't like the Celtics.
And we know you're going with Lakers.
Yeah, easy sweep.
Easy sweep. It's not easy.
But I'm not going for Boston. I don't like Boston. It's not a secret. I don't like them. But the way the Heat has been playing, it's like they're all on one accord. Offense and defense. The coaching staff is all together. So I'm going with the Heat.
Right.
And I'm going with the Heat in 5.
Ooh.
Wow.
Well, so who's your champion? Did you mention that? Lakers. No.
Lakers or Boston?
Lakers or Boston?
It's easy.
I'll go
Drew.
Boston.
Okay. You going Boston?
Just to make Carl mad over there.
Okay.
All right now.
And it's 2020. The weirdest things happen. It's probably going to be a Miami Nuggets finals, which is something nobody predicted last November when all this season started, or even back in July when the bubble started, because it's 2020.
Hey, Drew, what's my record again?
12, he is 12-0.
12. No, actually, no, he lost.
I lost
night.
one.
He had the Clippers, so he's 11-1. He initially had the Clippers.
12-1.
11-1.
I thought he was 11-0 as of yesterday.
Yeah,
no, I lost
and he lost the Clippers.
Matchup.
Last night, so he's 11-1.
But I thought you picked the.
No, I had Dallas
in a
beating,
series.
the Clippers.
In a series.
Oh, it's a series pick.
It's a series pick.
Okay.
Yes.
Next.
All right. Report that Rob Manfred says overwhelming majority of owners in the favor of expanding the playoffs going forward went from 10 to 16 teams because of COVID. Do you love it or hate it?
You want me
Drew,
to start?
Yeah, of course.
As the baseball fan, I hate it. Absolutely hate it. I've said multiple times I hate the wild card playing game. I know that this 16 team it expands it, gets rid of that. It does go to an actual 2 out of 3 series now, but I hate it. I think that there has to still be something worth winning your division other than just seeding. It has to mean something. A division title has to mean something in baseball. And if you expand the series, you won't be getting these great August, September battles for first place that we've come accustomed to, and that we baseball fans truly do love checking the box scores every day and checking the standings every day when you're in a game to 3-game race down the stretch. I think that's going to start to go away because teams are going to look at who's below them, realize like, hey, in the American League, we're in the 8. I mean, we think we can take anybody in the series, so I mean, why even try? Why even push it when you come down those stretches in September? And like I said, especially with the play-in wild card game, if you lose that, you weren't even there. You just got to play 163. I think that baseball is fine the way it is. If you want to keep the wild card game, I'm not too happy about it, but at least the division still counts. And baseball is always been about winning your division. I mean, that's what it is. Finishing first means something.
I tend to agree with you. The 16 teams for COVID, I completely understand. You're only playing 60 games. Makes
this year, I mean,
you're missing out on 100 games. But
did I get excited last week when the Orioles were kind of getting close? But
here's the main point, though, I want to get across is like I don't think a playoff expansion solves some of the problems you've had in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it does anything for you. Now, I've always been one to say I think the wild card game is a little weak. You should probably make that a series.
You should make it. If you're going to make it a series.
If you're going to change something about the playoffs, do that. I don't think you need extra teams. I think that is a problem. You're fixing something that ain't broken.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that Rob Manfred is really saying the overwhelming majority of owners want to do it is very concerning. I swear.
And
how many teams is he talking? He's not talking 16 every year. He's not talking more than half the league every year, right?
That's what it sounds like. That with the reports coming out, it sounds like he's in favor of making this an every year thing, regardless of a global pandemic.
That'd be wild.
Which is just absolutely insane to me. Rob Manfred, if you put a note in a suggestion box, he'll try to make it work for you, and it's just absolutely insane to me.
Well, if you want to join the conversation, 67129. Coming up next, we're going to have Russell Copeland. We're going to congratulate him on his job over at the University of Memphis with the Memphis Tigers Radio Network. He'll be alongside Wolo on the away games, being the color commentator. But he comes up next, right here on Sports 56 Happy Hour.
Check out Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy with Sports Time on Sports 56. Weekdays from 3 to 6 on Sports 56, 96.1 FM and 87.7 FM.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roof Services. You've heard me talk about how we offer the best products, the best warranties, and the best services for years. Now let's talk about pricing. Pricing should never be the only reason you hire a contractor, but in today's world, pricing is always a consideration. So we suggest you get 2 or 3 estimates for your roof replacement from a reputable, licensed, and insured company, and then give us a call. If we can't beat your best price for a comparable roof system by more than $100, we'll give you $100. It's that simple. We are so sure we can offer you the best price, beating all other qualified companies. We will hand you $100 if we can't, and thank you for the opportunity. So give us a call. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? Make $100? Fiveash Roof Services, a proud supporter of Tiger Athletics and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Fiveash Roof Services, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
More time at home means more time to grill, and nothing tastes better off the grill than perfectly aged and tender Omaha steaks. Get the world's best steaks and a huge variety of other favorites shipped directly to your door. Go to omahasteaks.com, enter the code DELISH in the search bar, and for this week, Omaha Steaks will add 4 burgers and 4 gourmet jumbo franks free when you order the Grill Out's favorite package. Going to the grocery stores becomes such a hassle. Skip the crowds and order Omaha Steaks today. omahasteaks.com, keyword DELISH.
As you get back to business, small things can make a big difference, like marking safe distances with floor tape and posting reminders to wash hands. As always, Grainger is here to help, offering supplies and solutions for every industry. Free access to product specialists, 24/7 support, safety recovery guides, and more. It's part of our commitment to help you adapt and recover in these challenging times. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Commitment, dedication, perseverance. At FedEx, our people are our strength. Even during these unprecedented times, we are delivering medical supplies, test kits, and the things you need every day. Helping the world move forward together. Strength, what we deliver by delivering. FedEx.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Periscope. Don't miss out on anything. Stay in touch with Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7 on social media. Welcome back to Sports 56 Happy Hour with Johnny Radio.
Kick it over here.
This hour is brought to you by MemphisFarmers.com. Insurance coverage backed by a local agent and a brand trusted nationwide. We are farmers. MemphisFarmers.com.
Welcome back in. Sports 56 Happy Hour. Normally with Johnny Radio. Johnny is not with us today, but it is Gabe Kuhn, Drew Barrett, Carl Morris producing the program to fill in for him today. We talked about the Big Ten in the first segment, some Rob Manfred news that Drew, you seem to anything
dealing with Rob Manfred. I guess I'll give him some credit.
For what?
I mean, he didn't. I thought he was going to shut down the season like 20 times, and he didn't, and it kind of worked out. But like, even giving him that little bit of a credit just irks me.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
He's probably my second, or no, definitely my number one hated person in sports.
As far as commissioners go, he's your least favorite. No
question,
right?
It goes one, Rob Manfred, two, Bob Bowlesley. I still blame him for what happened in 2016 when the expansion happened.
Oh, okay,
with keeping Memphis out. I still hate him for that, but everybody else is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think our next guest would have liked to see that expansion go the right way. We bring on Russell Copeland. Russell, how are you? Congrats on the new gig. You're the you're joining the radio broadcast crew for the road games with Dave.
Yes, I'm doing well, and I'm very excited, man, to be working with, my alma mater, the University of Memphis, and especially, to be able to broadcast and to analyze, to me, one of the most explosive offenses in college football, led to me by one of the best quarterbacks in Brady White. I think offensively, they've got a big-time wide receiver in DeMonte Cote. I think offensively, they have a lot of depth at the wide receiver position. Their offensive line is very solid. And to me, on the defensive side, I think it was a home run with the hiring of Mike McIntyre, two-time national coach. So I think what he's going to be able to bring to that table is just discipline. I think they're going to fly around the football. It's going to be a defense that's going to create turnovers. I think they'll be mentally strong, and I think they'll get after the passes. So I'm just really excited to be broadcast alongside Dave and just talking about this exciting Memphis football team and also the program.
Of course, definitely wanted to congratulate you on that. Before we get into what we really want to talk about, and that is the National Football League. A lot going on, and you played wide receiver in the National Football League for some years there. Enjoyed a nice career. And I just wanted to start here because this is the thing that's going around at the moment. And Allen Robinson. And Allen Robinson is a guy that sort of flies under the radar. He's got these contract talks ongoing. Mm-hmm. It's interesting, though, because he's coming from the Jaguars. He's with the Bears now. He has not had much quarterback help, yet he's still caught for nearly 1,000 yards a year. Do you think that Allen Robinson is a guy that should be paid like a premier receiver in the National Football League?
Most definitely. Allen Robinson is a very solid wide receiver. I think he's coming off, I think it's his second year now, coming off the ACL. I think he's done a tremendous job, as you alluded to, not having the best quarterback play, not having solid quarterback play, but he's coming in his third year with a 3-year, $42 million contract with $25 million guaranteed. I think what you have to look at the top wide receivers, where exactly does he fit, and how far off are they, with Ryan Pace, the general manager, and him? Because when you look at the top wide receivers, you got Hopkins at 18, you got Keenan Allen, who just signed an extension at 20, Amari Cooper's at 20, Julio Jones is leading everyone with 22 million. Michael Thomas has 19.3. So where is he with that tier? You still got AJ Green with 18, Tyreek 18, Odell at 18. I think he should be around the 16.5. I think he should be with Adam Thielen, Brandon Cooks. To me, Brandon Cooks is overpaid at $16 million. I think we saw that. He was not able to step up as the number one wide receiver for the Texans. So I do think he should get paid. I think he has been a great asset to our very own Anthony Miller, I think, into his development. And what a great game Anthony did, especially in the fourth quarter, great catch. So I think you need that veteran wide receiver such as him to make the plays as a number one. I'm not sure if Anthony is a number one yet. I think he still has to develop. But given the opportunity, I think in a couple of years he can be that number one. But right now, for the Chicago Bears to have success, I think it is pertinent that they sign Allen Robinson.
Right, so real quick, we're going to get to a lot of NFL, but I do want to get your opinion on what's going on at the University of Memphis with all the cases and the blaming on the party bus. Do you think that even if there was a party bus, do you think it's safe to say now with all the cases at Arkansas State and them having to postpone their game this week that it's might not be those players' fault for with going in a party bus and causing the week down shutdown?
Well, first of all, guys, I just think it's very unfortunate, and we are living in a time of COVID-19. I think it's kind of difficult to be able to pinpoint. I did hear some things about the party bus, but when you look at both of those teams playing and both of those teams having numerous cases, there's a high possibility that it could have been some cross-contamination during that game. Right. I just think that's a chance, guys, that all of college is going to have to face, because to me, playing in the football game, to me, I think is very minimal. I think it will be some tracing, but I think where you're going to get everything from is your social life. And I think these are college kids. And how do you keep the college kids from not having a social life, being on campus and going to different places? I think that's going to be the biggest challenge, not only for Ryan Silverfield, but every coach that's in the NCAA, is how can you kind of have a bubble for these young men, because that's where you're going to contract it when you get outside and you're in the public and you're going to fraternity parties and you're hanging out with a lot of other people in crowds. And, it's very unfortunate, but hopefully the team can get through this. Hopefully there's no player is serious ill with COVID-19, and they can get through it and the season can progress and they have a good year.
Exactly, Russell. Hopefully everybody is safe and sound and gets over this as quickly as possible, and we can get back to college football. But back to the NFL, obviously a bad week one loss for the Cleveland Browns, 38-6 to my Baltimore Ravens. They seem to, once again, for the second straight year, receive a lot of hype, a lot of this could be the year. They're definitely going to make the playoffs, and then coming out and only putting up one score on the board in week one. Are they doomed to repeat last year, or do you actually still see some hope left for them?
I think there's always going to be hype when you have the Odell Beckham and you have the offensive weapons that you have. But I can't just blame Baker Mayfield. But to me, in his third year, I think he has to be able to step up if this team is going to have any success. And I think, Kevin Stefanski coming in, this is his first year. There's rumors about trading Odell Beckham. And Odell, he's had some times in the past where he's acted pretty much like a diva. But honestly, I think the past couple of years, I think he has been a great teammate. And I think, unfortunately, there's a lot of things that's going on inside that locker room. So the head coach has to get this offense on track. He has to get this team on track. And they've got a big game with the Cincinnati Bengals, because one of these teams will be 0-2 in that division. And we know Baltimore is in that division. Pittsburgh looked very good. But I just think this is going to be a mediocre team. I think they've got some issues, and I don't know if they finish 500.
Yeah, they always seem to get that type of hype. Obviously, they have all the talent. We'll see what happens with Odell Beckham. I know there's talks around him getting dealt away to somebody else, but we'll have to keep our eyes on that. But I think one of the biggest things everybody was waiting to see was not only Tom Brady with the Bucs, but Cam Newton with Tom Brady's old team with the Pats. They won 21-11. Cam Newton, I thought, was interesting. They ran him 15 times, even though he's coming off injury. What did you think about Cam Newton under center for the Patriots?
Well, I think he looked good and he looked healthy, first and foremost. And I think he ran the football for the most in his career, 15 times for, I think, 75 yards. But they're going to have to be able to get some running from their other running backs. I think when you look at 16 games, I don't think he can have that workload at being over 30 years old to be healthy, because they're going to need him under the center. But I think it was a great game plan by Josh McDaniels to be able to implement some of the things that Cam Newton does very well. He looked like the Cam of old. But if this team is going to compete like they've done for the last 20 years, if they're going to compete with the Buffalo Bills, he has to be healthy, and that defense looks good. But they're going to have to get some help outside. He's going to have to be able to throw the football down the field. But I do think his running capability and that new offense is going to bring some trouble to defenses. But I think you want to carry him maybe 8 to 10 times. 15 times is a lot for someone who has had injuries the past couple of years. But he looked great in the first game.
Russell, obviously on Monday night, the Titans squeaked by with the win there for Week 1 in the NFL. But big news, especially for another University of Memphis alumni, Stephen Gostkowski, having the missed field goals, does knock it down for a game winner with only 17 seconds left to go. Do you think he survives this week and survives the season with the Titans?
I do. I'm a homer. Unfortunately.
I am too.
Unfortunately, he did not have one of his best games. But we're talking about a Hall of Fame kicker. We're talking about a kicker that has been one of the best kickers in the past 14 years. Unfortunately for him, he missed some kicks. He's coming off surgery. But I know he's a hard worker, and he definitely is going to put in the work that's necessary for him to compete. And then when you look at it, there's not going to be a lot of crowds in stadiums, especially in the early part. I think he'll correct that, and I think he'll be a big asset for this team going on. So I do think that he will be the kicker coming into this week. I haven't heard anything from the Titans. But just looking at the Titans overall, a win is a win. But I'm still not sold on Ryan Tannehill. I think you give a guy $118 million. What he was able to do last year was good as far as comeback player. But this is a Derrick Henry type of football team, and if this team is going to be able to compete like they did last year in their division, they're going to have to throw the ball as well. They're going to have to be able to throw the football. He's going to have to do a lot more than just play action passes. He's going to have to be able to hit Brown on the outside and open the offense up, because everyone wants to stop who? You want to stop the big stallion Derrick and Derrick Henry, and you saw that with Denver. And just speaking of Denver, I mean, Denver looked very good for a young football team. They made some mistakes. There were some questionable calls, I think, that their head coach would like to probably have back. But this is the team that has a lot of talent, and they were missing their stud on defense, but they flew around. They put some pressure on the quarterback. I like Denver. They're still young, but I see a lot from their quarterback, and also Judy. Man, Judy's going to be a stud.
Right.
For sure.
Right. His feet are so nice, Russell. I mean, that's the one thing that just jumps off the page when you watch him play. And I think I sort of agree with your sentiment about the Titans. When they signed Ryan Tannehill, I thought it was a little bit too much money given what Ryan Tannehill was for that team. He's a certified game manager who's just sort of helps facilitate what Derrick Henry is able to do for that offense. And I think that's the interesting thing when you look at that team. But I want to sort of transition to a team you're very familiar with, a franchise you're very familiar with, the Buffalo Bills, and what they were able to do in Week 1. I personally, and I know you picked them to win the AFC East, given sort of what's going on with that division. You have the Jets, who are just completely lost, and the Patriots, who you didn't know what you were going to see. But I think Josh Allen looked fantastic in Week 1. I've been a doubter. I don't know how versed he is at this point throwing the football, but he looked really good. He had a 300-yard game. I think it was his best game yet in his career. What say you? Do you think that Josh Allen can take a big step forward this year for the Bills?
I love his maturation process. I think he has stepped up every year. I think this football team picked up from where they were in the playoffs. I think for the first time, offensively and defensively, they have a lot of talent. And speaking of Josh, I mean, Josh doesn't have to win football games just throwing the football, but if he has to throw the football, he has John Brown, who can run. He's very fast. He's got Cole Beasley in the slot. And to me, I think Dawson Knox would be an outstanding player for them, the tight end. But you got your number one receiver in Diggs, and he has some things around him. And the thing about with Josh, a lot of people do not give him credit for being a scrambler because he's 6'3", 6'4". He's a big quarterback, but he can run. He can run. He can scramble. He had 57 yards rushing. He threw for 312. He had 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing and 1 passing. I like him because at the end of the day, playing in Buffalo, the weather gets cold. You're going to have to be able to run the football. You need a tough quarterback with a strong arm. He has those things, but he has an outstanding defense. You have to have a defense when you're playing in the cold type of weather because teams are going to try to run. I think he has everything around him where he doesn't have all the pressure to have to go out and throw for 300, even though he did. I think he can beat you in numerous ways, and he has an outstanding defense to help him.
Staying with quarterbacks, 2 quarterbacks that made their first start for their new teams. But my question between Phillip Rivers and Tom Brady, which one of them had the worst week 1?
Oh, man. I love Tom Brady. Love him. I mean, I think he's arguably the best quarterback we've ever seen. You know, to me, I would say he's the GOAT. But Father Time is undefeated. And I think for where Tom is, as far as him being the GOAT, playing on the national stage, playing against Drew, and to me, Drew is one of the best quarterbacks to play. I just think there's so much expectations when you see them on paper. And you were expecting Tom to just jump in. You got Gronkowski, you got the wide receivers outside and just probably throw for 300 or 400 yards. Unfortunately, like I tell everyone, that's on paper. You have to be able to mix that gumbo together. You got to get those ingredients. You got to know how much of this and how much of that. And they have to gel together. And I think we saw that. Even though he's been throwing, he's been jumping fences, and he's been passing in the offseason, it's not the same. I think they will get better. That's why I picked the Saints. I think they'll gel. I think Bruce Arians will get them together. Even though he's declining and Tom is, he will find a way to correct himself. And this team toward the middle of the year, going toward the end, I think they'll be a very solid football team. But he struggled. He made some passes that was uncanny for him. It was like a rookie. But that's a lot of times that happens when you get older. Your mind says that you can make throws, but you're not getting the game as fast and quickly as you used to, and your arm strength is not there, especially on the pick six. On the pick six, he stared down the receiver, and a quarterback can never throw the football inside on an outside breaking route. So he was late, and he threw it inside. But I do think this football team will be able to correct themselves, and they'll be competitive. But they have to win at Carolina. They cannot afford to go 0-2 this early in the season.
That was one of the nastiest throws I think I've seen in Tom Brady's career, that pick six. Talking with Russell Copeland, former Tiger, former Buffalo Bill. I want to leave you with this because you saw Michael Thomas is going to miss Monday Night Football. He's week to week with a high ankle injury. I believe it's just a high ankle sprain. Drew Brees is aging, and Michael Thomas broke the record last year for receptions in a year. He's clearly Drew Brees' guy that he can lean back on, that he can trust in times of need. What do you think of that Saints offense with Michael Thomas out? Are they going to be able to keep up a certain amount of production to win ball games?
Yes, and the reason why I say that is because of Sean Payton. But you're going to have to do it by committee. I mean, you can't replace what Michael Thomas does. As you mentioned, 149 receptions last year, 1,700 yards, averaging 107, almost 108 yards a game. So that production, you're going to have to do it with Emmanuel Sanders. And I love Emmanuel Sanders. I think that was a great acquisition for them in the offseason. I think he can pick up a lot of that. But I think a lot of that security blanket will have to come from Jared Cook. I think he had a big game last week. I think he can take a lot of the pressure off of Drew and kind of replace what Michael Thomas does as far as in the mid range, as far as the 10 yards to 8 yards, be able to pick up those first downs. And I think Alvin Kamara, I think you're going to have to put him in the passing game. He's going to have to do what he does. He's one of the most versatile running backs. I think he can take a lot of pressure off. And I love Deontay Harris. I think he's your guy that you can place in. You can get him some reverses. You can run him on some gadget plays. I think when you put all of those together, I think they'll be fine. And I love Drew Brees. But this is big for them because he is that security blanket. So Drew has to take his focus and say, hey, I don't have Michael, and be able to go to someone else. So it's going to be a big challenge early, but I think they still be okay.
He is Russell Copeland, former Tiger, former Buffalo Bill, and a new commentator alongside Dave Woloshin for the Memphis Tiger Radio Network on Away Games. Russell, thanks for joining us. Congrats on the new gig, and we will talk to you next week.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Russell.
See you, Russell. Russell Copeland. Back on the other side, we have a little bit of college football news. Want to talk about USC, want to talk about the Pac-12, and sort of break down what's going on in regards to a possible return to play. I say a possible return to play, not so possible, but possible nonetheless. You are listening to Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ. Listen to us daily on AM 560, 96.1 FM, or 87.7 FM.
More time at home means more time to grill, and nothing tastes better off the grill than perfectly aged and tender Omaha steaks. Get the world's best steaks and a huge variety of other favorites shipped directly to your door. Go to omahasteaks.com, enter the code DELISH in the search bar, and for this week, Omaha Steaks will add 4 burgers and 4 gourmet jumbo franks free when you order the Grill Out's favorite package. Going to the grocery stores becomes such a hassle. Skip the crowds and order Omaha Steaks today. omahasteaks.com, keyword DELISH.
I'm here with outstanding team from Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway. They're online at lexusofmemphis.com. Gary, tell everyone how they can experience the Lexus of Memphis satisfaction.
Come in and be a part of our family at Lexus of Memphis. Experience the customer service that we provide to each guest like a member of our own family. If you're on the side of the road and you need us, we're there. If you need help with anything with your car, technology, Bluetooth, the app suite, we have a dedicated team to help you with this in your journey with your Lexus.
That's how they do it at Lexus of Memphis.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. The storms we've had over the past several months have been devastating to our communities. The rainy season is ahead. You may have not even noticed the dripping in your attic, water stains throughout your home, or even worse, mold and mildew. Please call Brian Elder Roofing and we will send out our project managers to assess any damage. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. We will measure your roof from outer space. 0% for 60 months, even no payments till 2022 are available with approved credit. If you've noticed missing shingles, water stains, leaks in your roof, call us before you call your insurance company at 867-0303. That's 867-0303, and we will provide a free, thorough inspection of your roof's condition.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Hi, I'm Troy 5Ash, owner of 5Ash Roofing. Can anyone explain to me why anyone would care how I measure your roof? We have all heard about measuring your roof from outer space. Well, to be honest, there are aerial pictures that are taken every 4 years that can be used to measure a building, but it's not from outer space. Besides, no one, and I mean no one, can tell you what's wrong with your roof or even if you need one by using pictures that might be 4 years old. If you would rather do business with a family-owned and operated business with a lifelong tie to Memphis that refuses to mislead or use gimmicks, please give me a call. Best products, best warranties, and the best customer service we know how to provide. 5Ash Roofing, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Memphis Tigers home team. 5Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
5Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Welcome back to Sports 56 Happy Hour with Johnny Radio. This hour is brought to you by MemphisFarmers.com. Insurance coverage backed by a local agent and a brand trusted nationwide. We are farmers. MemphisFarmers.com.
Back here, Sports 56 Happy Hour. Usually with Johnny Radio. Johnny is out for the day. Hopefully we get him back tomorrow. Gabe Kuhn, Drew Barrett with you. We've talked a lot of Big Ten. We just talked NFL with Russell Copeland. Big Ten obviously returning. But we have to talk about this letter that USC, Southern California players, sent to California Governor Gavin Newsom. This was sort of headed by wide receiver from USC, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and their quarterback, Keaton Slovis. It read as this: Governor Newsom, our request of you is that you work with us urgently and purposefully to find a path for us to resume competitions later this fall so we can have the same opportunity as other teams around the country to play for a national championship. We respect the careful and cautious approach you have taken to college athletics, and we have the utmost confidence that we can partner together to quickly develop a plan that allows us to compete in a 2020 fall football season. Let's find a way to say, yes, please let us play. Again, Amon-Ra St. Brown and Kedon Slovis were sort of the head of this group. This has been interesting because L.A. County is still not allowing contact practices. From what I understand, I have some buddies still over at USC and sort of up in the Pac-12 in Oregon as well. And they have things where you can't have 12 people. You can only have 12 people groups to go do workouts.
Yeah.
You can't punch each other. You can't do anything. So they have sort of missed out on practice. They haven't been able to do any of that. I think this letter's more around that than really, really returning to a fall football season, because these players at USC, these players at UCLA haven't been able to have any contact really as a full team since the pandemic hit.
Yeah, and it's something that it's interesting. You know, obviously through the last month, we've really only talked about the Big Ten returning, just due to the fact that you kind of figured the Pac-12 was going to hold a lot stronger. There wasn't going to be as much pressure on the Pac-12 to return to.
Fans seem to understand.
Yeah, they do. They're more understanding of the times, and I mean, heck, a lot of them are more worried about a fire burning down their house right now and being able to see more than half a mile away because the visibility is so bad on the western side of these United States. So they seem to be more understanding, and you know, I kind of like the way that they went at it. They're like, we appreciate everything you've done to try to keep us and our fellow Californians safe through all of this. We appreciate it, but we do think that, you know, there might be a little bit more room that we can, you know, nudge out there.
Ease restrictions a tad bit, so we can get together with our team.
I mean, it's a very nice way of saying it, and saying that, hey, we don't want to bully you into this decision. We want to help you. We want to work with you. We want to be just as safe as you want us to be. So you like that approach instead of the give us football now. We need football now.
Right.
No mask, no nothing, just football now type of mentality that you've seen from the Big Ten and other conferences. Like, we want it now, but it's not safe to play now. I have to have it now. Like, at least they're being more understanding through the whole thing and not really demanding. And I think they have a case that, as long as testing and everything's going on there. I know the numbers are still a little bit higher than they'd like in California right now, but if you can nudge it just a little bit, I mean, just help these guys do something more, because I'm sure with the restrictions right now, just like your players over at Germantown, which I know we'll probably get to in the next segment, probably getting a little bored of doing the exact same thing every day. Like,
without question.
Kind of want to mix it up a bit. So I like their approach to it, and I think that the governor will budge a little bit and help them out. But
ease restrictions. It's not necessarily
a little bit more worried about
season,
fires.
Right? So originally the Pac-12 said that January 1st is the earliest date that they possibly return to any college athletics. That includes basketball, that includes football, that includes anything as far as spring sports go, winter sports, all of that, right? So we will see what happens there. Heather Dinich of ESPN noted yesterday, and I saw this, that the Pac-12's most aggressive, she says the most aggressive plan is to return in mid to late November, but she even admittedly said that's probably not a real possibility. As we know, the Pac-12 has not been put under the same type of pressure that the Big Ten has been under.
And that's the crazy thing. All these football crusaders out there today taking credit for the return to the Big Ten, and it's for the players. It's for those young men. They matter. They deserve the chance to play. Hey, bud, aren't you ain't too worried about what's going on the left side of the country?
Right.
How come their chance to play doesn't matter as much? Like, come on, dude. Like, if you're going to stand up and fight for football for all, then it should be football for all.
I completely agree. But we will see what happens with the Pac-12. But on the other side, we have to start with Shelby County Schools and the decision they made yesterday to postpone all athletics until further notice. We'll break that down more on the other side when we come right back here on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
I'll see you on the dark side of the moon.
Divorce Divorce can be complicated, even more so if there are children involved. If you're a father and want to protect your rights, consider Cordell & Cordell. As a partner men can count on, they have helped men with matters like these for 30 years. Visit CordellCordell.com to learn more.
Contact Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Memphis attorneys. Online at CordellCordell.com. Office in Memphis, 6000 Poplar Avenue, Suite 225, Memphis, Tennessee, 38119.
I'm Saniqua Martin Green, and when my mother was diagnosed with cancer, our world changed forever. This experience made me so passionate about spreading awareness of treatment options, including clinical trials. I'm joining Stand Up to Cancer to get information to those who have been diagnosed with cancer and their loved ones. Clinical trials introduce new hope for patients, providing access to cutting-edge new treatments. Talk to your doctor to see if a clinical trial may be the best choice for you or a loved one. To learn more, visit standuptocancer.org/clinical trials today.
Furnished by Stand Up to Cancer.
More time at home means more time to grill, and nothing tastes better off the grill than perfectly aged and tender Omaha steaks. Get the world's best steaks and a huge variety of other favorites shipped directly to your door. Go to omahasteaks.com, enter the code DELISH in the search bar, and for this week, Omaha Steaks will add 4 burgers and 4 gourmet jumbo franks free when you order the Grill Out's favorite package. Going to the grocery store has become such a hassle. Skip the crowds and order Omaha Steaks today. omahasteaks.com, keyword DELISH.
I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses will buy a house in any area, in any condition, and yes, it's guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your home quickly, call 901-406-1101. If you've been through a divorce, if you lost your job, if you're tired of renters, I Buy Houses can get you your money quickly. I Buy Houses will buy your home in Shelby County, DeSoto County, Memphis, Bartlett, South Haven, Horn Lake, Olive Branch, anywhere and everywhere in between in any condition. And yes, they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pen, 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses.
Hi, I'm Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. Can anyone explain to me why anyone would care how I measure your roof? We have all heard about measuring your roof from outer space. Well, to be honest, there are aerial pictures that are taken every 4 years that can be used to measure a building, but it's not from outer space. Besides, no one, and I mean no one, can tell you what's wrong with your roof or even if you need one by using pictures that might be 4 years old. If you would rather do business with a family-owned and operated business with a lifelong tie to Memphis that refuses to mislead or use gimmicks, please give me a call. Best products, best warranties, and the best customer service we know how to provide. Fiveash Roofing, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Memphis Tigers home team. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now back to Johnny Radio's Happy Hour. Here we go. On Sports 56 and 87.7 FM.
Welcome back in. Hour 2 of the program, Sports 56 Happy Hour. Normally with Johnny Radio. Johnny is out for the day. We will see if he gets back tomorrow. But Gabe Kuhn, Drew Barrett, and Carl Morris is producing the program today. Thanks to Carl for that. Now, Shelby County Schools, I definitely teased this before we went to the break. Shelby County Schools and their superintendent, Dr. Joris Ray, has announced that fall contact sports are indefinitely suspended or postponed, so to speak, until further notice. So we will have to see when that means till, how long we are affected by this. No one knows. But Shelby County Schools fall contact sports are indefinitely suspended. And Joris Ray, the superintendent, said that they decided to lean on the advice of experts and not emotions, and then also went on to say, while they are in all virtual classes, there is no sports, and when they return to in-class classes, they could possibly return to sports.
I mean, it makes sense. It really does, and I feel for all those.
That's the one.
All those athletes at the Shelby County schools, including Germantown, where you're coaching at. I feel bad for them. I really do. Playing high school sports was one of the highlights of my life. I loved it. I got to actually letter in 3 different sports while I was in high school, and memories that I will cherish for the rest of my life. And I want those young men and women to have the same opportunities that I and everybody else was given. But in this time of unknown, and I think while I might not 100% agree with it, just because we have seen in the area most of teams make it through this pretty okay. I think the evidence is out there that it probably can be done right now. But you can't blame Dr. Ray for his decision, basically saying if we don't think that we can have students in a classroom, if we are that concerned over their health and well-being, then I can't in good conscience send them out to play sports. Because, and it's just like we talked about with the Big Ten yesterday, as long as you lead with your decision of not to doing it is the well-being and health of your students, then it's hard to argue against.
You can fall back on it at all times, and I think that's sort of what we're looking at here. It's obviously tough for me to talk about, given I have so many players over at Germantown that have an uncertain future in regards to what their sports careers might be like. And it's a way out, truthfully. It's a way to get to college for a lot of these guys, and that's just sort of what it is. You're talking about the biggest school district. It's an urban school district in the city of Memphis, and all these kids are going to be without
biggest school
football,
district in the state,
without getting film, and it just, my heart absolutely goes out to them. And we want to open up the phone lines and the text line to you. 67129 First Bank text line, 901-360-8255 if you want to chime in on this. But I do agree with Dr. Ray in the fact that it would be a very dangerous precedent to set to let them play football while they're in all virtual class. It doesn't make sense, right? It's not cool to be in class, yet it's okay to be on a football field swapping sweat, swapping spit, touching each other, right? Banging heads. That doesn't make any sense. But again, it's just so heartbreaking for all of these seniors. And my heart goes out in the fact that they just have no decision. They can't make this decision. They have no say in it. And I think in certain situations, for the best, because you look at they're very young. These are high school kids, right? They're not necessarily.
I mean, we can't trust college kids to not get on a party bus.
They're not well. And I'm not saying they're dumb by any stretch. Don't try to morph my words into something they're not. But they're not always going to make decisions that are best for themselves. But I do think,
I know I certainly didn't.
I do think that being in class and being on a football field provides some structure in a lot of kids' lives and certainly provides them an opportunity to escape. And they have that taken away from it. It just stinks. It really does.
It does. And like I said, my heart goes out to those athletes who, for a lot of them, most of them will be the last chance that they ever get to play organized sports. And, as somebody, I didn't personally start getting recruited very highly until the end of my senior year, let alone before or the beginning of it. And I know how precious every single game and every single time that a scout has to see you really matters. I for sure personally understand that. But at the end of the day, and I know we're probably if we do get y'all's opinion on the First Bank phone line and the First Bank text line, I get the argument of, well, you're outside in a classroom, it's recirculating air. But if you're not comfortable to do one, I don't think you can full-heartedly be comfortable with doing the other. Yeah, if that makes sense. Because I mean, regardless of how well we separate people at school, it's just like we talk about college kids with their social lives. You can't expect an 18 to 22-year-old to make the right decisions all the time and not go to parties off campus, to not be in large crowds, to not maybe or maybe not get on a party bus after a win to celebrate. you sure as heck can't really trust a 14 to 18-year-old to do the same thing. I mean, even if we tried to social distance in hallways, I mean, it's just there's too many students. Most schools are overcrowded as it is, and they're not going to make sure that there's 6 feet of separation, masks stay on all the time, and we do the things to keep these kids safe. And ultimately, while I know a lot of parents are probably hurting, they want their child to be happy. They want their child to experience everything that they got to experience and more. I get that. But at the end of the day, we have to do what we think is best to help these kids and keep them safe and ultimately provide a better future for them. And for some of them, it's just a smarter move for it to maybe be canceled right now. Like I said, I think there is evidence. There's evidence out there that it can work. We're seeing it in the private schools. We're seeing it in the surrounding suburb districts. We're seeing that it can work, but I'm not in Dr. Ray's shoes. I'm not having talks with the Shelby County Health Department day in and day out. And with all the different resources and the experts that he's talking to, if he tells me that it's probably not safe, then I just have to accept that.
Well, the truth,
regardless of whether I personally think it should go that way or not, I think it's just something we just have to accept.
The truth of the matter is Shelby County Schools doesn't have the money or the resources to be able to test constantly, to be able to get normal access to doctors, right? And that's a big issue. That really is. You're talking about the biggest urban school district in the state of Tennessee, okay? And it just seems inevitable in certain situations that you'd have an outbreak. You have more students. It's just going to happen, right? And until those numbers go down, I don't disagree with the decision fully, but I definitely do see the other side of the fact where it's just it again is just so dang heartbreaking. But along with that, one of our good friends, friend of the show here, John Varlas, actually was out at a protest today, and it was at the Shelby County Schools school board. And this was a lot of kids telling their stories, telling what the escape is of football, of volleyball for some of the girls out there. It was actually somewhat heartbreaking to see these kids out there sort of defeated and you know not able to fully express themselves in the way they wanted and get any say in this. And he actually said that at one point the director of student affairs came outside and dismissed the kids, didn't answer any of their questions, and told them to go home. And
that probably should have been dealt with a lot better, and it does hurt. I mean, like I said, I remember those are cherished memories that I will have for the rest of my life, getting to play high school sports and be with my teammates and to have that purpose in your life of belonging to something bigger than yourself. I get it, but you also got to understand, and while I know the chances are very low, it's very low percentage-wise of somebody contracting COVID-19 and dying in that age group. I get it. But if there's even a chance, you can't expect Dr. Ray to take it because of the backlash that he would get. And I think that's where he's coming from. He's not trying to be a dictator in this situation, I don't believe. I don't think he's getting his jollies off on it. I mean, it's just personally, I mean, if I was in that decision and I made that decision and it backfired and we did have our second wave, which, by the way, I don't think we've technically even had a second wave yet. Right. And if we hit this second wave as flu season and everything else starts to re-amp up here in the Mid-South and across the country, if I made the decision to go forward and second wave hits and the worst possible outcome happens, I don't know how I would be able to live with myself.
One of the underrated talking points about this is, I think, not being in class and not having any type of sports to go to creates a lack of structure. Because you're talking about a lot of these kids whose parents work. They're out for the day. They are not there to make sure that their kids are in their virtual classes. Their kids are paying attention, right? So I think there's, like, football provided just a little sliver. It's not even that much. A little sliver of structure in some of these kids' lives, and it's tough. It's very, very tough to see it go. But we have some texts here.
I mean, real quick before we get to the text.
Okay.
I mean, I think we both, while people probably think I'm defending Dr. Ray and that I'm 100% on board with his decision, then I think we're both kind of on the same page, though, correct, regarding this decision that while it might not be the decision that we made, it's an understandable decision, and I don't think that there should be outrage about it. I think, yes, disappointment, yes, heartbreak for the kids and the memories that these young men and women are going to miss out on that are lifetime memories for so many of us. Yes, heartbreak, but outrage and demand for this to be overturned, I think is a little much.
Again,
are we on the same page? Like, while we both want to see it happen,
I see why people, but you definitely see why people want it overturned, 100%.
I get it.
You knew it was coming, right? And I don't think there's a lot of people, especially you look in the Twitter sphere, you look at Facebook, you look at other places. Not a lot of people.
But to attack Dr. Ray's character and decision behind this, I think it's too far.
I do agree. I do agree there because he did make the decision in the best interest of his student athletes. Let's be completely frank about that. He's trying to protect their health.
There's no other motive.
And I think his point on leaning on the advice of experts and not emotions is fantastically put. That's what it is. I even say this, right? I coach at Germantown, and I realize
you want to get on that sideline.
My emotions are to the point where it's like I want to play, no doubt. I want it for the kids, right? But those are emotions, and the advice of experts in this situation have told him different. Again, we are opening it up to you. 67129 First Bank text line, 901-360-8255 if you want to join the show via the First Bank phone line. But we have a few texts here. One says, SCS, Shelby County Schools golf coach here. I get the decision for football, even though I know it's tough on those kids. I do think some sports like golf could go forward. He used the word contact sports, but hasn't made any differentiation about non-contact sports. I see the point.
Plain and simple. I mean, we saw that the PGA was the first sport to return in the professional ranks for a reason, because it's pretty easy to social distance and adhere to CDC and Shelby County Health Department guidelines on a golf course.
Right.
There's a lot of land out there, Gabe. I don't know the last time you stepped on a golf course, but
there's a lot of land out there.
Pretty wide open spaces.
Yeah, and when you're standing on the tee box, if
you can stay easily 6 feet apart.
If you're playing with a group, you can easily
keep
stay
the flag.
6 feet apart.
Keep the flag in the hole. Good.
So the differentiation I think needs to be made. I don't know if it will be made though. I'm just going to be completely honest there. I just don't think it will. And again, it's about also you're in all virtual classes. I always said from the beginning of this whole thing, it's a weird precedent to set if you play sports and don't have them in class. And I think everyone sort of agrees on that notion of it. But a lot of people think that they should be able to play, that they need to.
I like I said, I think that there's been the evidence out there from surrounding suburbs and the private schools here in Memphis, Tennessee, that it can be done. I think we all need to respect the decision and understand that it's coming out of a place not vengeance or dictatorship or my way or the highway type of situation.
It's looking out for your student population.
That's exactly what it is. And while, like I said, I'm heartbroken just as much as anybody else for the memories that these kids are going to miss out on, it's the decision made. I don't think that, I think Dr. Ray, as soon as he gets the thumbs up from the health experts, that he will reverse this, and he'll be very happy to reverse this. He wants all those students back in the classrooms. He wants them on the football fields and the soccer fields. He wants them out there living their normal life, and to give these kids the structure that young people desperately need and the belonging to something bigger themselves. He wants that. I'm sure it does.
It's not about him serving self-interest.
No.
I'm sorry. If you believe that, I would like to hear why you believe that. But it most certainly has to do with protecting the student athletes from themselves and maybe keeping them healthy through the rest of the pandemic. Also on the text line 67129, it's absurd to deny these kids a chance to earn scholarships, sports, and band. Not sure why Shelby County thinks they know more than the rest of the state. You see why other schools went their own way. The leadership is pathetic. To make it work for a couple of years with Houston, Collierville, Bartlett, Arlington, they were awful, so had to give up Germantown High as part of the deal. It stinks. You're denying these kids a chance to go get some film, earn those scholarships. I completely understand that. But to say the leadership is pathetic, I don't agree with that. I don't fully agree. I think the decision was made a few weeks too late, no question. If you talk to a lot of coaches and a lot of players around the city who are part of Shelby County Schools, all they wanted to know was a few weeks ago.
Yeah, just, hey, are we doing this or not?
You had time to make this decision. Say yes or no. That's all they wanted. I know that's all anybody in my corner wanted. It's just say yes or no. Stop kicking the can down there and moving the decision date back. Because in the end of the day, you just sort of, it seemed somewhat inevitable that this was going to be the decision.
It really did. I mean, for anybody that's really that shocked out there, I don't understand where the shock value comes from, because what Dr. Ray said in his decision yesterday is what he's been saying for the last few months. I mean, when he joined Dave and I a month ago, this is exactly what he was saying, that the overall health of the students at Shelby County Schools and the community at large is what's most important to him. And to think that, from him saying that on these airways back at the beginning of August to middle of September was really going to change that much is kind of outlandish to think, because I really do think he's doing this as way he sees right. It doesn't mean you have to agree with it, but I think you should definitely respect it.
Yeah, but that, you know that. Asking everyone to respect the decision, come on. Come on, Drew, you know better than that.
No, I know.
you know better
it's not going to happen, and I'm sure there's people out there that's just cussing up a storm. Listen to me talk about this, but it is what I don't want to say this, but it is what it is. All right, we need to do what's best for the community going forward, and this is the way that the leadership has decided that it's going to go. So, and like I said, I'm sure as soon as he gets the thumbs up, we can go back to normal.
Also, First Bank text line, you're seeing football work in literally every other place in the southeastern states except Memphis. This is by far the dumbest decision ever. Yeah, but let's not act like it's without any, problems, okay?
I mean, here's the other thing. We don't know how
Collierville just had to shut down for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You have other things going on. I'm not saying that should be a complete reason to shut down, is because Collierville was shut down for 2 weeks, but I am saying that this has not gone off without a hitch.
We don't know testing-wise, but I mean, when we're going from school to school and district to district and state to state, while some people might be mandatory testing every 2 weeks, there's probably a lot of kids out there that haven't even been tested once. So,
and you just do not have the resources to go and do that. But if you want to join the conversation, 67129 901-360-8255. We're going to come back on the other side. We're not going to do hard and wood, Drew, because I think we need to get to NBA. We haven't been able to get to that so far today, and there was some interesting, crazy things going on last night. You had Nuggets and Clippers Game 7 and a shocking turn of events. The Nuggets won that series, and then you had Eastern Conference Finals, Game 1 between the Heat and Celtics, and the Heat won that game. But we'll come back on the other side and break that all down for you right here on Sports 56, 96.1, 87.7.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7.
Frontier Western Store is open and ready to serve you for all your needs in boots, apparel, pet food, and more. Frontier is proud to be a local leader here in the Mid-South when it comes to boots. Stop by the store today for an incredible selection of name brand work and dress boots. Come browse aisles and aisles of top quality boots at everyday low prices in our world famous boot showroom. Dan Post, Rocky, Durango, Twisted X, Georgia, Ariat, and many more. There are so many styles, colors, and fits available, you might need a hand picking out your favorites. Luckily, Frontier's knowledgeable sales staff will cheerfully assist you with any questions you have and ensure the proper fit of your new boots. Frontier also has an amazing selection of jeans and shirts by Wrangler, Ariat, and Carhartt, as well as a fully stocked women's boutique department with thousands of tops and dresses at unbelievable prices. New arrivals often. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Gilman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Family owned and operated since 1967.
I'm Saniqua Martin Green, and when my mother was diagnosed with cancer, our world changed forever. This experience made me so passionate about spreading awareness of treatment options, including clinical trials. I'm joining Stand Up to Cancer to get information to those who have been diagnosed with cancer and their loved ones. Clinical trials introduce new hope for patients, providing access to cutting-edge new treatments. Talk to your doctor to see if a clinical trial may be the best choice for you or a loved one. To learn more, visit standuptocancer.org/clinical trials today.
Furnished by Stand Up to Cancer.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. The storms we've had over the past several months have been devastating to our communities. The rainy season is ahead. You may have not even noticed the dripping in your attic, water stains throughout your home, or even worse, mold and mildew. Please call Brian Elder Roofing and we will send out our project managers to assess any damage. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. We will measure your roof from outer space. 0% for 60 months, even no payments till 2022 are available with approved credit. If you've noticed missing shingles, water stains, leaks in your roof, call us before you call your insurance company at 867-0303. That's 867-0303, and we will provide a free, thorough inspection of your roof's condition.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses will buy a house in any area, in any condition, and yes, it's guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your home quickly, call 901-406-1101. If you've been through a divorce, if you lost your job, if you're tired of renters, I Buy Houses can get you your money quickly. I Buy Houses will buy your home in Shelby County, DeSoto County, Memphis, Bartlett, South Haven, Horn Lake, Olive Branch, anywhere and everywhere in between in any condition. And yes, they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pen, 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses.
Now back to Johnny Radio's Happy Hour.
Kick it over here. Kick it.
On Sports 56 and 87.7 FM. Here's your host, John Harden.
Gold and shackles, ball and chain. Listen to the whistle.
Rolling right along, hour 2 of this Wednesday edition of Sports 56 Happy Hour. Gabe Kuhn and Drew Barrett in for Johnny today. We just got done talking about Shelby County Schools and Dr. Joris Ray's decision to postpone contact fall sports indefinitely. We will keep you updated on that as it moves forward. There are protests raging on at the Shelby County Schools school board, so we will keep you updated as we can as we roll along in this final half hour of Sports 56 Happy Hour. But as I promised, NBA talk. Last night, first game that we had was the Eastern Conference Finals. It was game 1, Heat Celtics. The Heat just killer, man. The killer. They are playing incredible ball right now. Won 117-114. Jimmy Butler comes down 114-113, gets the floater to go and won, and then they went up. So I was just incredibly impressed with how they handled that in that final sequence with Bam Adebayo and that block on Jason Tatum. Oh, my gosh. Jason Tatum went up to dunk. It was in the cylinder. Did you see that? In the cylinder.
I was at dinner last night. You know, it was kind of around the same time that you called me. I didn't watch it, but I saw the highlight of it, and yeah, it does look.
The ball was and he cocked it back. Like
that was about to be nasty.
I know, and it looked like Bam Adebayo's
I would have bought
wrist
that
was
poster
going to
if he
break,
did
man.
it.
Like he cocked it back. I thought it was going to be. I thought he was going to dunk right on Bam's head, but Bam takes it out of his hand, gets the defensive board, gets fouled, and then they go on to win 117-114. But I do want to point out the fact that the Heat just consistently play great defense. Now, in these playoffs, for sure.
That's been their calling card, especially in these playoffs, is how well that they've been able to play great defense. And I think the most inspiring thing, if you're a Heat fan or you're really rooting for Miami, is the fact that everybody's been contributing. I mean, you've gotten it from your star Jimmy Butler all the way down to your newly rookies. I mean, obviously none didn't have that great of a night last night, 3 points, but you did have Tyler Hero have another decent night, shot okay from beyond the arc like he's done in these playoffs. And the thing that I've loved watching about the Heat more than any other team is that it has been good team basketball. It hasn't just been one guy. It's not. There wasn't it's Jimmy or nothing like we saw with Milwaukee. If Giannis isn't playing well, it's all downhill. Like we saw with LA with the Clippers. If Paul George and Kawhi Leonard have as bad of a night and don't score a single point in the fourth quarter last night, then there's no way they win. But with Miami, just the team basketball that they've been playing, to have somebody new step up a night in and night out and actually being able to spread the ball around. I mean, you had 3 guys in the 20s. You had 5 guys in double digits. Like, it's just really good basketball.
No doubt. And Goran Dragic led in scoring for the Heat with 29. He added 7 rebounds, 4 assists. How underrated is he? I mean, he's a guy that no one talks about. He is so severely underrated as a distributor, as a scorer. He does so many good things for that Heat team. But they just altogether, you can talk about, and I heard this after the game, you can't have Jason Tatum and Kemba Walker combined for 5 from 21 from 3. That's not a commonality for them. They shoot better from 3 normally, but I don't know if that is not going to be a commonality in this series, because when you look at who's D'ing them up, you have Jimmy Butler, right? You have Kendrick Nunn out there playing some defense. You have a lot of guys on that Heat team who can D up, and I think it was more the fact that the Heat were playing good defense than it was Jason Tatum and Kemba Walker just having an off night.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I don't think that you can chalk up the shots that the Boston Celtics missed. I mean, going 15 of 42 from the beyond the arc to they just had an off night. No, I think you can ultimately, and it's very rare in today's NBA that you can say the off nights were 100% contributed to the great defense.
But also what you see is like, okay, I'll let Jaylen Brown shoot those threes. I'll let Marcus Smart shoot those threes. And if they beat us, they beat us. But I do not want Kemba Walker and Jason Tatum coming down and beating us by themselves. And that's what you saw out of that defense. And I thought it was fantastic. But Bam Adebayo is, I think he is one of the more impressive sort of big guys in the game, and he just sort of embraces his role. And he's one of the better passing bigs in the league.
I mean,
he had 9 assists
last night. I mean, goodness gracious. I mean, what can this guy not do? And I think as a full-on roster through the most part of this season and even to the most of the playoffs, Miami just completely underrated. Just really not been given much of a shot. I know I said Boston's probably going to win in 7. I think that they just have a little bit more in the tank, a little bit few more horses. But if Miami can play the team basketball that we have seen out of this bubble and can play the defense that they have, it's going to 7. And I would not be shocked if Miami wins the series. It would not shock me whatsoever.
I think they will. And what they did to the Bucks was just, I think that was more impressive than anything. You could tell, and let's be real too. Like the Heat have really good leadership, right? You have Eric Spoelstra, who is one of the more underrated coaches I think in the league, and we know how well he's done. Got the championships, and then Pat Riley.
Yeah,
is your guy making all the decisions on player personnel and everything like that. So this Heat team, I think, down the stretch is going to be able to outlast the Celtics. But the Celtics, of course, it's going to be a good series. It really will. But I like this Heat team down the road. You have a lot of young guys who are giving you a lot. You talk about Duncan Robinson. You talk about Kendrick Nunn, Tyler Hero. I think they are built for success down the road, even if they don't get it done this year.
Yeah, I think that they definitely are. I think it's going to be a team to be reckoned with in the next few years in the NBA. And switching over to the other game last night, I think a team that's probably a year ahead of what we all thought. I mean, Denver, I know we've talked a little bit about it, but to actually break down, some of the game last night, how the heck, if you're the Clippers and you're Doc Rivers, can you seriously wrap your mind around that your 2 stars, free agent pickups from the offseason that everybody thought was going to be better than Lakers, was going to definitely be the team to represent the West in the NBA Finals? How do you have your 2 notable key superstars confined for 0 points in the fourth and just let it just get away from them?
It was shocking. Going into the series, I thought there was absolutely zero chance that the Clippers would lose. Zero chance. Yeah. They were deep. They have 2 superstars in Paul George and Kawhi, and I know Paul George just did not really have that good of a playoffs. That's just.
But I thought he was playoff P.
Yeah, which is interesting because of the game time shots he made with the Pacers. But last night, the Nuggets ran away with it, 104-89. They advanced to the Western Conference Finals to take on the Lakers. And the Clippers, they had a bad shooting night.
They did.
37% from the field, 25 from 3. But I just do think that the Nuggets stars, Jokic and Murray, just wanted it more and turned it on quicker than Kawhi and PG. Kawhi and PG combined 10 for 38 from the field, whereas Jokic and Murray combined 20 for 39. And it almost seemed, and you can tell me if you sort of agree with this sentiment, like the Clippers last night were just playing like, oh, we can turn it on whenever we want. We'll get this done. Don't worry about it.
Like
we're better.
They were going to be able to flip on this.
Yeah, they thought they were going to flip on the switch. And when you're supposed to flip on the switch, it's supposed to be in the fourth quarter, right?
Yeah.
You were 0 for 10 from the field until there was 4:55 left in the fourth quarter. You went 7 minutes without anything, with nothing, and JaMychal Green broke that with a dunk, and they just couldn't actually turn it on when they wanted. And it looked like they were just playing that way. They were playing somewhat complacent.
They did. They felt like that they were always going to turn flip, like you said, flip that switch on. They were going to. The shots were eventually going to start falling. That they're going to just click into this next gear, and the gear shift got stuck. It never clicked into the next gear. I don't even think it ever went back down, and they just seemed to be stuck in the middle of 2 and kind of just looking around, wondering what do we do, and it felt. And I never want to say that they didn't want it, because
of course you
play. You're a competitor, and especially at that level, you want to win. I mean, to say that the Clippers didn't want it enough, I think it's kind of a cop out type of situation.
I think it's also fair to say someone else wanted it more, right?
I guess, yes. It can be said that somebody else wanted it a little bit more. Maybe pushed themselves a little bit harder in different spots of the game. I think that could probably be said in any sport. But I think that they just kept thinking that, okay, it's going to happen. Here's the shot. There it is. No.
Okay.
Okay, well, let's go down. All right. Okay,
Yeah.
Okay, Murray. Yeah, go ahead. Go to the basket. All right, this is where we turn the switch on. Here comes the switch. Shot up.
Nope. Every single time.
Where's my switch? Like that, they just kept looking around going, did you find your switch?
No.
Is your switch on? And then just basically looking at the other guys like, man, I can't even find the switch. This is a dark room, buddy. I'm touching the walls. I'm trying to find it. I just can't seem to locate it.
Jamal Murray was just unconscious in that.
He was.
And you knew personally. And this is how I felt.
You knew he was coming in clutch.
In the first 4 minutes, you sort of could tell when Jokic was out of the game and the Nuggets kept pouring it on. Like, if Jokic is out of the game, that's time for Clippers to make up some ground, right? And they just couldn't, because they couldn't make any shots. Again, 0 for 10 until 4:55 left in the game, and that's unacceptable when you want to win that game. Have you been seeing the Doc Rivers haters out? The Doc Rivers, saying, Doc Rivers should get fired. It's
to nobody's real shock, that he
Come
will
on,
be
guys.
he will be coming back to the Clippers next year.
Yeah.
But I don't get it. I know that you thought that this would definitely be the year that Doc would be able to take his Clippers team over
Never
the
been
second
to a
round.
Western Conference Finals.
No, they haven't.
And they've had some good squads over there.
Entire franchise, they haven't been able to get over that hump, and you thought that this year was going to be it, but I think Doc still has an argument that their best basketball is ahead of them. And I mean, you get a full season uninterrupted with
Right,
Kawhi and PG-13 and everybody else on that team, then it probably will look a lot different. While the Grizzly fan in me loves the fact that they still haven't made a Western Conference Finals and that the Clippers hate is still live and well, they're probably going to get over that hump next year, especially if we have a full season uninterrupted and everything goes off without a hitch. Then next year is probably going to be they're even in the regular season. I'm guessing they're probably going to have a better record. They're going to get better. They're going to get over that hump. You hope.
Let's get real.
Here's the thing. You hope they do, because we've also thought that about the Houston Rockets. We've thought that every year they were going to get over that hump. They were finally going to get it. They were finally going to not choke in the playoffs. James Harden was finally going to lead a team to the finals, and we're going to have a title back in Houston for the first time since the mid-'90s. We've thought that over the years, and it just has not happened. So Clippers, I think they will get over the hump, but if they don't do it next year, I think we have to start looking at that team in the same light as a James Harden-led Rockets team. They're great in the regular season.
It's been 1 year with the new guys, so I don't know if we can go there.
I'm just talking about Houston in general. I mean, we've thought that they were a championship contender for a while now,
right?
And they just haven't been able to get over the hump. So you hope that Doc Rivers can ultimately figure it out. And I think he is. I think that anybody thinks that he should be fired is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah,
just due to the fact that some of the firings this year, especially the one in Indiana, was ridiculous.
Heck, next year, if they don't get a good seed and if they don't make it far and probably don't get it to the Western Conference Finals with the team they have right now, then maybe you start thinking about it.
Maybe you do start thinking about it.
He's been there since 2013. He's had some damn good teams with Blake Griffin, Chris Paul, DeAndre Jordan on. J.J. Redick was on those teams, and he couldn't get it done then. But this year was definitely his biggest chance, and truth be told, they failed. They came up short. They came up short. But again, I think that you get the COVID cop-out. You're going to get the COVID cop-out. Oh, well, it was a weird year. It was a huge interruption, but you
hard
would think
to flip
that would
on
help
the
them
switch in a bubble.
and you'd also think that would be they would favor them considering how much of the load management that they do with Kawhi and PG. But whatever, you get the COVID cop-out just because of how weird it is. But elsewhere around the NBA, you have the Raptors. They signed their head coach, Nick Nurse, to a multi-year extension, obviously won the NBA championship last year, and he's been fantastic. I really like Nick Nurse. He's done a fantastic job with them, even without Kawhi in that lineup. They were a very, very good team and were in it till the very end. So I think that's a fantastic extension. And then also the other thing that was interesting that came across my timeline was this 3-hour lunch meeting Friday in Milwaukee where the Bucks co-owner and governor, Mark Lasry, told Giannis Antetokounmpo, Greek Freak, that the franchise is willing to spend into the luxury tax to deliver him a championship supporting cast.
Well, while that sounds great, and I can't remember, I want to say it was either Keith Smith or Andy Schiffman last week told us that while that sounds great, diving into the luxury tax only helps with you can only use the luxury tax money with players that are already on your roster. You can't use it to go out and sign somebody. It can only help with the players on their roster. So I think they have a decent supporting cast, but they definitely need another piece. And I'm not sure who that piece is out there, but I think while it looks good on paper that, hey, we're going to spend as much money as possible, buddy.
Personally,
we're going to do this. Well, there is limits on what you can spend that money on.
I think there's a foil between the Bucks and the Clippers and the fact that they're both struggling because of the lack of a pure point guard. I think they both, and I know we're talking about the Bucks, but I think they need a pure point guard.
Yes.
You can't have Giannis being one of your main – I know he's not your main ball handler, but he's one of your main ball handlers along with Eric Bledsoe and Chris Middleton. And you need a guy
a general. You need a floor general.
You need a floor general, and Eric Bledsoe's a good player. I do think he's a good player, but I think he's a scorer at heart, and I think you need a point guard to step up and be a floor general for them. And you also know that Giannis is getting that supermax.
Oh, he getting that money.
He's getting his supermax.
He's getting them dollar bills,
so you
baby.
You wonder how much money they're going to be willing to spend, how far they're willing to dive to get a supporting cast. I know he says he's willing to take a deep dive to deliver this championship supporting cast, but once that money is paid to Giannis, you sort of wonder what else is going to be left over.
And who's going to be willing to who's going to be willing to take the leap and go to Milwaukee to try to win one with Giannis, and ultimately probably have to take a pay cut to do it.
Yep. And last note here before we get to this final segment, NBA draft is now set. No, it's not roll. It's not. It had been subject to change. It is set for November 18th.
Hey.
But the season
2 months left.
But again though,
we don't know when the season's going to start.
The season start date's still subject to change. We'll see when they lock that in. They said I believe it was last week that'll be no earlier than Christmas. Would you like to see a opening night on Christmas?
I wouldn't mind it. I mean, the NBA's always kind of controlled Christmas to begin with because we don't play any bowl games on Christmas. That's one day that they do take off during bowl season there, and NBA owns it, and it'd be a great idea to kickstart it. Now, I just don't know if you have enough time for an off season and to kind of get every facility ready to kind of do the things that we're seeing in Major League Baseball. That's going to take months, and hopefully they've already started working on that. I'm sure they have. But if they can get all that done, we can get players rested and have somewhat of an off season by then yeah, let's do it. Let's start on Christmas.
I like how you say somewhat.
Somewhat. I mean, yeah, it's going to be
it's a quick turnaround no matter how you shake it.
Exactly, unless we wanted to wait till February.
And you also wonder when they can get back on normal schedule, and if they can get back on normal schedule, or is this going to cause a sort of permanent change in the NBA start date and draft? And we'll keep our eye on that. But I want to come back on the other side and finish it out with a little bit of MLB news. They're talking about playoffs and the bubble, and we have to give you the details on that. You're listening to Sports 56 Happy Hour.
Spend your lunch with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy on Sports 56 Middays, delivered by FedEx. Weekdays from 10 to 1 on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
You'll see the dedication in every single step. You'll see it in the smiles when smiles are hard to get. You'll see it in the little things that add up to success. The caring and passion are the things that we love best.
Wolf Chase Limb Brace is your Mid-South provider for orthotics and prosthetics. They are an ABC-accredited facility, and their practitioners are ABC certified. At Wolf Chase Limb Brace, their services include artificial limbs, legs and arms, braces of all kinds, and custom molded inserts. You can call them today at 901-507-7821 for their location on Highway 64 in between Germantown Parkway and Appling Road, or visit them at their new location in Jackson, Tennessee. That number is 731-660-5900, or visit them on the web at wolfchaselimbembrace.com.
Dedicated our life to yours. Wolf Chase Limb and Brace.
Family Leisure's done it again. We're talking about the world's biggest spa sale. Up to 30% off on spas and swim spas. Choose from hundreds of different spas from multiple manufacturers. There is special financing available, and if you are in the market, special pricing now as summer starts to dwindle on chemicals and accessories. Always professional delivery available. The spas are going crazy at Family Leisure, I-40 and Whidden Road.
Text
enrolls you into reoccurring automated text messages. Message and data rates may apply.
Come on, one more rep. You got this. 10. There it is. Nice work, man. You're a beast.
Thanks, man. I feel better than I have in years. And I got to tell you, taking Nugenix makes a huge difference for me.
Nugenix? That's the testosterone booster with TV ads with Frank Thomas. The big hurt, right?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is Testofen, which helps boost free testosterone levels and increase lean muscle mass.
Well, it's clearly working for you. Hey, are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try for themselves?
Yeah, Nugenix is a great way to increase lean muscle and feel stronger with more energy and endurance.
Man, I need to get a complimentary bottle of Nugenix.
No problem. You just got to send them a text. Text BICEP to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix, the #1 selling free testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of new Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help get you back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text BICEP to 42424. That's BICEP to 42424.
One thing I really admire about Central Barbecue is their commitment to quality.
Then why do they let you do their commercials?
I'm talking about their food. Everything is prepared with devotion to taking the time and effort to create perfect barbecue.
Oh, I know. That's exactly why I was wondering why.
They're not kidding with that slow-smoked Memphis-style slogan. They smoke their pork for 14 hours. Do they have to? They do if they want to be the best barbecue in Memphis, and they are.
And yet they let you just throw together.
There's nothing better than Central Barbecue because they care.
Except apparently about their radio ads.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Now, back to Johnny Radio's Happy Hour. Let's go! On Sports 56 and 87.7 FM. Here's your host, John Harden.
Back here, Sports 56 Happy Hour. Gabe Kuhn, Drew Barrett, Carl Morris producing the program. We're here to wrap up this edition of Sports 56 Happy Hour before we hand it off to Wolo and Stats with Sports Time on Sports 56. Have to start here with the Mets as far as the MLB goes. Steve Cohen, billionaire Steve Cohen has bought them. He will own 95% of them, and their value $2.475 billion. Probably a pretty good investment on his part.
Yeah.
If you have the money. But Steve Cohen has bought the Mets. It was not A-Rod and J-Lo in the end of the day.
Oh, I really wanted it to be A-Rod.
Did you?
I did.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
I don't know.
I don't know. Former player owning the team. I mean, as long as he does better than Jeter down in Miami, which has not turned out all that well, but we'll see how that goes. But Jeter doesn't own that much of the team.
That's a very
He's just the face of it.
That's a very conservative way of saying with Derek Jeter.
Yeah.
It hadn't gone all that well.
It has not gone to
miserably.
plan.
But also last night, as the wildfires sort of ravaged the West Coast, truth be told, it affected the air quality so much that the Mariners and Giants game in Seattle actually had to be postponed. I believe they're supposed to play tonight. I don't know if it's postponed, but we will see what happens there. Yeah, they are playing at 8:45 tonight, and it is not postponed as of right this second. Actually, it's in San Fran. I spoke wrong at Oracle Park. But the playoff bubble, this came down when we were on the air yesterday. MLB and the Players Association have agreed to the playoff bubble, and the World Series, according to this plan, would be October 20th, and they're going with the new stadium in Arlington, Globe Life Field, obviously in Texas, and it would end no later than October 28th. It would culminate a month of playoff games that begins with the top 4 seeds in each league hosting all of the games in a best-of-3 wild card series. I guess they're doing sort of bubble scenarios for those as well. The 4 American League series would run September 29th, September 30th, and October 1st, and the National League would be the same. September 30th, October 1, and October 2, so one day after. The highest remaining seed in the NL would play its division series in Arlington, and then the next highest seed would face its opponent in Houston. Everyone in the bubble is going to be tested daily, and family members will be able to join as early as the division series. But this is an interesting approach. I think it's cool to still give them that home field advantage, so to speak, for the higher seeds. But they're still going with the bubble approach of testing and making sure that everybody is taken care of before they get into it.
Yeah, and I guess I kind of like it due to the fact that all the National League teams, once we get to divisional series, will have to play mainly in American League parks, and then the American League will be playing in National League parks all the way up till the World Series. But, I mean, if you're the number one seed in the National League, you wouldn't even have to leave Dallas whatsoever through that whole time, because you'll be playing the divisional series there, then for the pennant there, and then ultimately for the World Series. So whoever finishes out with that number one spot in Major League Baseball in the National League, travel plans are going to be pretty easy to take. You're going to be playing at home, and then if you make it all the way through, you ain't got to leave. You ain't got to go nowhere. Right. So I like that part of it. And obviously, kind of the same thing in the American League. For number one seed, we'd be playing in Petco Park in San Diego. So works for me there. I'm just a little worried about the timing of it. Yeah. To say that it's going to officially be done by a set date, I think is a little ridiculous to just say. Same thing we talked about the Big Ten. You don't know what's going to happen. To have a hard date for things to be done and over with is a little ridiculous. I think you have to have a little bit more wiggle room in it. But we've seen the bubbles work really well in every other sport that's done it. So if they can do this right, contain the bubble well, then I think we'll crown the champion.
Yeah, I was glad to see they went this direction, because the last thing you want, it's cool for the regular season. It's not even cool. You don't want it to happen, but in the regular season you can sort of get over some of the COVID-19 outbreaks, some of the stars possibly getting it and having to sit out games. But in the playoffs
that's the last
thing you want.
You
need
guys.
your players. You don't want to have them sitting out. You don't want to have to play your full taxi squad during the playoffs in a very important playoff series. So I'm glad they went that direction. Also, in the world of college basketball, we haven't heard too much. I know they've been sort of going over these plans to do bubble tournaments in the preseason. And
Tigers are going to South Dakota later this year instead of the Bahamas.
But the NCAA Division I Council has set a meeting for tomorrow, and they are supposed to, in that meeting, make recommendations on a start date, and a schedule is set to be made. Obviously, the early talks of it, but we will probably get some information here in the coming days about what's going to go on with basketball in the NCAA.
Well, as far as basketball goes, how early are they willing to start? I think that probably with the NCAA kind of actually being able to control the sport of basketball, I think we'll be more united. It won't be a conference-to-conference, team-to-team type of situation. If they want to kind of start at a normal time in November, I think we'll see mostly regional non-conference games. We'll see no fans, and we'll see how it goes. But I don't know realistically if you can get started that early. Well, it might be a December start.
Well, also the Pac-12 said that as of right now, the Pac-12's not playing until January 1st, right? And so we have absolutely no idea where that's going to head, but we do know that the NCAA D1 Council is set to meet tomorrow. Try to talk these things over.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, we've said it since March 11th. This is unprecedented times. We don't know what the real right decisions are to make, and God bless those souls for having to make these decisions.
For the people that have to make these
decisions. I don't want to be in those shoes, man. Do not make me have to decide how college basketball for over 300 Division I teams is going to work. Please do not put that on my shoulders.
Absolutely. We have MLB going on right now. It's the only thing going on tonight.
Yeah, no basketball.
No basketball. The Rays and the Nationals are in the middle of the 8th. Nationals up 2-1. Athletics and Rockies. A's are up 1 in the top of the 3rd. But the big game to watch tonight, Padres-Dodgers. This is becoming a big thing out in the NL West. The Padres have definitely gotten themselves a lot better by getting Mike Clevinger. We know how that lineup is. Keep your eye on this game. Starts
they've
at
been
3
fun to
p.m.
watch.
Central. Starts at 3 p.m. Central. But that's
about 4 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to do it for us today. Wallow and Stats are coming up next with Sports Time on Sports 56. Drew will be producing that program, so you might be able to hear him from 3 to 6.
Probably.
Just as you've been able to hear him from 1 to 3. But I would like to thank Russell Copeland. I'd like to thank you out there, all you people that joined the text line 67129, because even if we disagree, I love to hear your input. I love to talk about it. It's great discussion, and we thank you.
And your hate fuels me. I love it.
And we thank you for joining the program and talking to us today. But for Carl, Andrew, I'm Gabe. We'll see if Johnny will be back tomorrow. Have a great day.